Welcome to Kick Back with Chris. Kick Back with Chris, the martial arts podcast.
Brought to you by www.mittmaster.com.
Hey everybody, Chris here. Welcome to another episode of Kick Back with Chris, the martial arts podcast. And hello again. It's been a while. It's been, 2.5 weeks? Something like that. I've been a busy boy. Been lots going on, as many of you have probably seen on Facebook. Parting thanks to all you guys giving me your support for the show, and it's enabling me to get involved with lots of cool new opportunities and keeping me out of mischief. So this week we have, I guess we've got kind of like a amalgamation. There's a big word for the day. A bit of a mix-up of lots of different things that I've been planning to talk about, discuss, cover on episodes that I was meant to be recording over the last few weeks. So what I thought I'd do was sort of collate them all, and I've got all the big words today. That is a big word for me, by the way. But no, I thought I'd sort of mix it all in, and so in front of me right now I have lots of sheets of paper with lots of things to cover, some of which are questions that you guys very, very kindly sent in the other week when I put out a post asking for topics to discuss. I've also got our nearly weekly Mat Chat with Mr. Matthew Chapman. This week we're going to be discussing the benefits of summer camps and summer activities for martial arts schools, which I know a lot of you out there probably already do. Some of you have maybe thought about it before. Some of you have maybe been put off by it and have now sort of thought, well, maybe it's something I could consider. So yeah, we talk about that this week. So yeah, listen out for that one a little bit later on in the show. So I'm going to jump straight in. I've got this massive list of things to go through. I'm going to talk about what we've been up to most recently, which is the Southwest Martial Arts and Wellbeing Show. I paused there because I wanted to get that right. I didn't want to get the name wrong. But the Southwest Martial Arts and Wellbeing Show very kindly invited me along as a guest of the show for their first show in Bristol. And I have to say, massively impressed. Massively impressed. These guys have done a terrific job for a first event. In fact, no, I won't say it like that. They've done a terrific job, full stop. First event doesn't come into it. Upon arriving, first of all, the location, the venue was very, very, very professional, very impressive as you came into the area. And you walking through the entrance. The first thing you were greeted by was this huge canvas banner that they'd had made up of artwork of images of all the instructors that were at the event, which was a really nice touch. And we were signing that as we went in. I believe they're going to be doing something for charity with that as well. And then as we walked around into the area, all the vendors were there, all set up. And then the venue sort of went around to the left, and then all the matted areas were there. Now, these matted areas were substantial. I mean, even the smallest areas were as big as the main areas on many other events. And then they had a large stage area with a display screen behind it as well, which was a nice touch. So, they've really gone to town on the professionalism and the look and the vibe of the event. And off to a fantastic start. Myself and some of the other guests that were there, we all commented on how well they looked after us and made us feel welcome. And a top-notch start. So I mean, I was actually there to teach some sections from my online kicking.co.uk curriculum, and was invited down there to teach a workshop. I was also there as part of the cast of the upcoming film Tribal, which I've spoken about before. Some of the other people that were there from the production as well. So we had Zara Fithian, we had Ross O'Hennessy, Thomas Dodd, and Grayson Matthews, and there was a couple of others as well. There was Mark Sears as well. I'm doing well for names here because I'm usually terrible at remembering names, but it was really nice to spend some time with them away from the set environment. Usually we're some dark locations somewhere filming, but it was really, really nice to spend some time with them and have a chat. Also there as well, there was Mr. Mark Strange, who you will know from the show has been on a couple of times to promote his movie Redcon 1, which is what he was doing whilst he was there. But yeah, there's no Mark for many years. It's always really good to catch up with him. Also, there was Mr. Lee Charles there, who's also been on the show. You want to go back and check these previous episodes, guys, with these two guys, because they were really, really cool episodes. But yeah, I've known Leah there. words are hard today. I've known Lee a long time. There's a lot of l sounds in that then. But yeah, so I've known Liam for a very long time, and he was there promoting his work. Obviously, most recently, he's been involved in the Scott Adkins movie Avengement. He's got a lot of stuff going on at the minute, this guy. You want to keep an eye out. Some big things coming from him in the next year or so. So yeah, it was really, really cool to spend some time with these people, and all of them all commented on how well they felt appreciated and looked after by the show. That's not to say that other events don't do that, but for a first time event, these guys got it spot on. And the really cool thing, check this out for organisation. They've already got next year's event booked, sorted out, and it's all going ahead. The poster, the artwork was already on Facebook. Sort of 2 days after the event. I mean, talk about organising. That is just amazing. So, hoping to be there again next year. So if you didn't manage to make it this year, maybe see you there next year as well. But with regards to the rest of the event, as I say, the areas were all really, really well laid out. Plenty of matted areas, which is really cool. So they had like a combination of matted areas for the stuff like myself, where we're sort of jumping and moving around a little bit more. And then they had some areas that had no mats at all, because some instructors, and I get it, some instructors do prefer to teach and work from a normal floor. So they had that covered off as well. But a fantastic start point for them going forwards. I know that there's a couple of things that they're looking at bringing in for next year. I wouldn't even say it was a criticism, it's just a suggestion, and I think they were actually planning to do it, and just in the busyness of it all, maybe didn't do it. Having a breakdown of the workshops and the instructors on each area, because I think it was 5 or 6 zones. They had a timetable, which was great, but sometimes when you stood on, like, say you stood at zone 3 and like, who's on next? And it would be good if zone 3's timetable is up and next to zone 3. But again, I think they were actually planning to do that, and the business of the event sort of caught up with them, and they didn't manage to get it sorted in time. But it's not even a criticism, that really, is it? That's just, it's a tiny, tiny detail. So I'm sure they'll have that sorted out for next year. Okay, so moving on. This next one, super cool. I read this. I was flicking through Facebook, and I saw a post discussing the potential of a reboot of the classic movie Bloodsport. Now, as far as reboots go, I'm one of those people that sometimes I'm a little bit like, just leave things alone. They don't, we don't need a reboot. As in, with the case of Ghostbusters, I just thought, we don't need to reboot Ghostbusters. Leave it alone. The first one is great, and the same could be argued for a film like Bloodsport. But I think with this one, I'm going to make an exception, because I think this one could be great if this is done right with the right people. This could be great. And when I found out, potentially anyway, as it's always a potential until there's an official announcement, the people behind this, it got me even more excited. So the talk is. That, and this is coming direct from the creators of some of the I believe it was the original writer of the Bloodsport film. It stated that the team behind John Wick would be taking over the helm of a potential Bloodsport reboot, which immediately got me excited, because the work that these guys have done with the John Wick franchise, to think that they might potentially be getting their hands on Bloodsport would be absolutely amazing. I think there's a lot of people out there, actors and martial artists, that would jump at the opportunity. I know I would. I would be happy just to be fighter 306 that gets kicked in the face and dies after 20 seconds, just to say that I'd worked on something as cool as Bloodsport. But no, joking aside, I think there's a lot of people out there. It would really depend on how they would reboot it, whether it would be sort of like not a copy as such, but sort of like a near enough direct, very similar version of the first one, or whether they would take it in a completely new direction, kind of like, obviously the Ghostbusters thing. I'm not necessarily saying that they make it an all-female cast at all, and I'm not going to get into the politics or political correctness of all that sort of thing. I'm staying way out of that one. But I think this could be, with the right care, which I'm sure if they've got the team behind the John Wick franchise on this one, I think that they could do a really good job. So fingers crossed, well, for me anyway, fingers crossed for that one, because that one sounds absolutely amazing for me. So the next thing I want to do now, I'm sure many of our listeners out there are familiar with the martial artist and actor Gordon Liu. I had the pleasure of meeting Gordon about 10 years ago. I'm just trying to think, it might be a little bit longer than that. But I've mentioned this on the show before, an absolutely fantastic bloke. I mean, he had so much time for his fans, but when I mentioned that I knew one of his friends, it was one of those situations where they'd said, "Oh, just say hi to Gordon from me." So I did, and he was like, "Oh, you know so and so? Oh, that's really cool. And come back later and we'll have a chat." And I was just like, "Wow, this is so cool." And I went back to see him later on, and we had a good chat and a catch up, and over 2 days. And such a nice, humble guy, and it was so sad to hear. I believe it was in 2011 when he suffered a stroke and a head injury, which has left him in a particular difficult patch in his life. And somebody has been arranging some fundraising to help cover his ever increasing medical fees. As you know, anybody out there with family members that are in a situation of needing additional medical expenses, nursing homes, that sort of stuff, it is expensive. And as I'm sure Gordon is a very proud man, I don't think he's somebody that necessarily wants charity per se, like a GoFundMe thing. So this person has arranged for a shop to be set up with some really nice, cool stuff. So if you go to shop.spreadshirt.co.uk/Gordon-Liu, so that's GORDON-LIU, so that's shop.spreadshirt.co.uk/Gordon-Liu, so the little sort of line, not underscore, the line. He's got t-shirts and hoodies and bags and loads of stuff. I've actually been on there and ordered myself a t-shirt, and a large percentage of each of those sales goes straight to Gordon's medical funds. This guy, I mean, I say I met him over 2 days, and he had so much time for me, and I was nobody. I didn't, it was just that we had a mutual friend, and straight away, he wanted to chat about what I was doing, my training, asking about, it was like I'd known him for 10 years. Such a super nice guy, and it would be good if us as an industry, whether you're a martial artist, an instructor, somebody involved in films, maybe like me, he's somebody who's influenced you. I mean, I got a whole load of his films on VHS and DVD. In fact, I took a copy of 36 Chamber of Shaolin with me to the event, and he was so impressed that I had a VHS copy, and he signed it for me. And I think he's given so much to the industry and to us as individuals that the least we could do. Obviously, I understand everybody's individual circumstances. You can't always buy things, but even if you just reshare the link on social media, I'm going to share the link in the show notes and on the Facebook group. If you could share it, great. And if not, then go buy something and share it. It would be great. Let's show him some support and help him out, and then get some photos over. The person who's organising all of this is asking us to send photos. So if you do buy a shirt or an item from there, send a photo. She's passing them on to Gordon to see, which is a great source of joy for him, and it's little things that we can do just to help out. So on to the next subject. Now, as I mentioned earlier at the start of the show, I was asking for topics, discussion points, for people to suggest for me to cover, which people sent some stuff in. Now, I've also got my own things to go off as well. This one came up both in terms of topics and relevance in my own sort of, well, not situation, but radar, should we say that. It was the one of downgrades, and there was an incident recently. And again, obviously, I'm sure you understand with the podcast, you can't go naming names. Well, you can. But then you've got a whole boatload of legalities to deal with afterwards. But let's just say that I was aware of somebody that actually just decided to promote themselves a downgrade. Just randomly, one day, decided that they had earned another stripe on their black belt, which obviously I think most people would agree is particularly dodgy. and questionable, to say the least. And it got me thinking about, the actual value of grades now. Where are we with them now? That's not to say, I'm not saying that I don't value the grades of other people. I'm just saying it's a personal thing now, isn't it? Because I look at some people out there as black belts and I can see quality martial arts, and I respect them fully. I respect their grades. And then you see other people and you think, wow, what have you done to earn that grade? And then you'll get people that will say, oh, well, just concentrate on your own thing and don't worry about them, which to a point is right. But at the same time, if we turn a blind eye to these people that just sort of self-promote whenever they fancy, teaching a system that's not recognised by anybody, that they've just literally, as is the case with this particular person, they've got completely their own system. So no external examination took place. They've just literally decided on that day, I am now X grade, and had one of their coloured belts present them with their Dan stripe, their Dan grade, their new Dan grade. Just like, is this naivety, cheekiness? I mean, what is it? And it got me thinking back to when I was a kid. I remember as a kid when I walked into class and the black belts there, you thought, geez, that's crazy. I remember as a kid thinking, I want to get to black belt, but I can't ever see myself doing that because they just seemed on another level completely. And now it just seems, I'm coming up 40. I'm 4th Dan now. I've stopped grading because I don't feel that my 4th Dan sits on a level at all anymore. Like, if I look at my 4th Dan and then I look at somebody else's 4th Dan, I might look at them and go, wow, they're so much better than me. But unfortunately, more often is the case, I look at someone else's 4th Dan and go, how on earth have they got to that grade? Either because they're 12 or, that's not to say they've not worked hard, but it's like, how have they got there in that short time? Or the standards just really aren't there. So it's got me now to a point, I mentioned this before on the show, where I've just not bothered with grading anymore, because I just think they don't really mean what they used to mean anymore. So because I don't hold any value to it personally, I would literally just be getting another grade for like a vanity thing, like just to outwardly sort of say, hey, look, I'm a 5th Dan, not because I hold any personal value to it. It would seem to me to be false to do another grading when I don't really hold any value to that. It won't make me suddenly kick better or spar better or do anything better because I've got that extra grade. So, what are your thoughts on that? Do you agree? Do you disagree? You can comment in the post on Facebook or get in touch, whichever you prefer. Now, this one actually does lead on very nicely to the next one. Now, Mr. David Jenkins, who is a manager at the British Kickboxing Council, he posted a video on social media that caught my attention. I asked him, could we use the clip, well, the audio anyway from the clip. So what we're going to do now is we're going to jump straight into that, and then I will speak to you on the other side.
You're listening to Kick Back with Chris, the martial arts podcast, brought to you by www.onlinekicking.co.uk.
Okay, so ICO work closely with the British Kickboxing Council. So we're working for recognition for the sport with Sport England. We've made some good strides forward in that, where we've got an actual safeguarding code that's recognised by Sport England. The BKC have actually had input on that, where it's actually been written by our safeguarding officer. We're working very closely with NSPCC, where we're the first port of call. If any red flags raise in our sport, we're the ones who they come to. We're just working on, in the very near future, we'll have a coaching award, a nationally recognised coaching award for kickboxing instructors and coaches, which we've never had before. That's going to be nationally accredited to a well-known body. So we're really excited about what's happening. Very shortly, again, we're going to be setting up the Professional Referees Association. Again, we intend that to have a nationally accredited training programme to that Referees Association. We've got some good people involved, like John Blackledge, who's chomping at the bit to get going on that with the ring sports. Very pleased to welcome our chairman of the British Kickboxing Council and a good friend of mine, Mr. Paul Fowler. I'd like to introduce you to him and get him to say a few words about how we're moving forward with the BKC.
Good afternoon, and fantastic day today and great competition inside. Just to reiterate a few points which Andy's been saying there, is that we're looking at activities throughout the sport to benefit the whole sport, not just individual groups, associations, but everybody right the way across the board. So it's a universal platform we're looking at, where we can improve for everybody involved in the sport, not just individuals, but looking from grassroots level right the way up to being competitive, so we can have a standard set that's recognisable throughout the whole of the sporting sector, not just internally to the sport, but also externally when people look in at what we're doing. To have the referees which are accredited, the same as if you look at a snooker referee, they're a set standard. We're trying to achieve the same thing right the way across the board for all organisations. We're looking at the youth side as well, to have a standard safeguarding policy which we can say was recognised across the board, so people who are looking into the sport from outside can see that we've achieved a set universal standard. But that goes across all activities. When we compete, we want to know that people are safe. So we are looking at coaches, we're looking at referees, and hopefully we can move the sport forward together for everybody, for every association, for every group, and for all people, to make the sport what it can be.
Excellent, yeah. I'd just like to add to that, we are trying to make the sport better. Only we can do that. Is the people involved in the sport are the only ones that can take this sport forward and make it better. And it's about the younger generations that are coming through. They're the ones we want to make it better for. The future athletes that are coming through, the kids that you see today's competition. It's up to us, really, our era, to try and bring this sport together and make it better for future participants. We'll be working on a big British Kickboxing Council under one banner, national championships in 2020. We'll be inviting all associations to come. Let's see whose fighters is the number one in a particular weight category. It will be the British Open under one rule set, and it'll be fantastic if we can get everybody involved under one roof. That's what we're looking for, bringing the sport together. We're looking to bring the ring sports together under the British Ring Sports Committee as well. There'll be an open invitation going out to everyone shortly to try and get a common common standard and a common rule set and regulations on ring sports as well. So up and down the country, regardless who's doing what, it's formulated properly, and there's a standard that everybody has to reach for them to be a promoter. We are working very hard. We need people to come on board. It's an open table, open forum for people to come on and work with us, and we want to bring this sport forward. And we can do it, but it's about people's mindsets changing a little bit, thinking about the future and the kids that are coming through, and really making this sport, the sport should be, which is, a real professional level. We've got opportunities to do that. We've passed phase one of recognition with Sport England, and we're working on the final phase of recognition now. We're not that far away. We just need to people to come together, work together for the sport, have a common goal, and I can see it being done, in the near future if we do that.
I think the key thing is that people need to put politics behind them. We're here for one sport. It's one sport. It's a huge sport. It's a fantastic sport as well. And only together, when we work together, can we actually make it a fantastic sport that we know it can be, that we can project across the country in a professional atmosphere and a professional site that we actually know can be done. But again, I just put the call out to everybody. Let's all work together. Let's all work together, set a common set of principles and goals and ambitions, and make the sport what it can be, regardless of politics and regardless of egos and everything else. Get in touch. Let's get this up and running and working together for everybody.
The benefits are there for everyone. We've just got to bring it together.
Enjoy our podcast? Please remember to subscribe, rate and review Kickback with Chris on iTunes today.
So obviously they were speaking within that particular clip in relation to kickboxing as a sport, as a martial art in its own right. But I think a lot of those ideas could transfer on a wider scale to martial arts as a whole. Now, I know this is an incredibly difficult subject and very subjective one when it comes to sort of policing or regulating the martial arts industry as a whole. I've been one. I've put myself forwards for this before with other groups. some sort of MOT as such, I suppose, like an assessment on a set, like maybe every 2 years, every 3 years, to just check where instructors are, with regards to their physical training, with their policies in place, with their insurance, with things. And I know it's a difficult one because you could, and we've had this before, you could have a former world-level martial artist that through an injury or illness or something else has been left in a position where they can coach really well, but physically they can't do it. But I would argue in that case, then they would have a provable, traceable history. My issue with the other side of it is when you get these people like the chap I was speaking about before, who is teaching a system that is completely made up. And I don't want to get into the argument of the history of martial arts and that they all started somewhere. That's not really into this. What I'm saying is they have rocked up into a sports hall, created a made-up system, graded themselves to a senior downgrade, and then they're teaching that to kids. Now, if they're going to do that, if they're literally just going to make something up and start teaching it with no, what's the history of their training? Who did they train under? How long have they been training for? If they were training under somebody else, why did they leave and then set up their own thing and then just randomly grade themselves with no extra? I get it when people, I've no issue with people creating their own systems, not at all. But I know some very good martial artists and honest people that have done just that. But then what they've done is they've gone to outside bodies to then say, okay, will you be our national governing body or our national supporting body? And then they've gone through an assessment process with those people, and they've brought external people in to do any additional assessments for their grades or their students' grades, so that there's tangible, there's evidence there that they've done their best to make it as legitimate, or to make it legitimate. These people that just rock up, make up something, have they got insurance? Have they got DBS checks? Have they got safeguarding policies? What's been done to check these things? Because it's happening in pretty much every other activity out there. It's just not happening in martial arts. So I personally think there is definitely room for something there, even if it's just on a very basic level, a check that must be done for all martial arts instructors. Because some people might turn around and say, well, if it's that basic, what's the point in doing it? Well, I think the point is, if these people that are making random things up and grades and syllabus, and it will potentially put them off from doing it if they feel that there is a chance that they might get caught out, even if it is only on a very basic level. If they look and think, well, oh crap, I'm not going to be able to fulfill the criteria for that, I won't bother, because at the minute that doesn't exist, so they are bothering. So I think definitely some of the messages within that last clip are definitely worth, as an industry as all, considering to maybe look to adopt on a wider scale. Right, moving on. So, a little bit more of a positive one. Not that that was a negative one, but definitely a positive one. I got chatting the other day to a chap on Facebook called Callum, who has a really cool positive idea for a martial arts-based talent competition with a view to touring it around the country. So they have actually got a Facebook group. I'm actually going to go look for it now. I had it on my page ready, and then I've turned it off as I've been talking. So it's martial arts got talent, I believe it is. I'm just going to type that in now while I'm sat here. Is it going to come up? Is my internet going to work? No, it's not. Oh, yes. So let me press on there. So it's listed as Martial Arts Got Talent. They have a cool little logo, so MAGT. From what I can make out from the quick chat that I've had with them, they're looking to take this around the UK, involving martial artists from schools and all sorts of things going on, and it's a really, really cool looking idea, a positive thing for the industry. So if you go check that out on Facebook, I typed in Martial Arts Got Talent, and it came up. I've had a quick chat with them about any way that myself and the show can get involved, and there's some potential there for it as well. So I would just say keep an eye out for it. Keep an eye out for it. Right, we're going to move on to a listener question now, an email that I had come through. That was a Facebook ping, because I turned the sound back up there when I went on to check that. Turn that back down, be a professional. Okay, now this person actually sent this question in, and they asked for me not to mention their name, which is fine, which is one of the things that we do, and I kind of understand it. And the question from them was, are martial arts associations democratic enough? And if not, does that cost them? He says, I come from a pretty well-known Taekwondo association and they are generally very good at what they do, but they are all old grandmasters. That's his words, not mine. Now, I know that there is a vast base of knowledge and experience there, and that being grandmasters, they deserve to be at the head of their organisations, but I feel that we are missing out on new and exciting ideas. They seem to lack understanding of technology and social media, so communication can suffer. Also, due to their time in the arts, do they really know what people that are looking to join are looking for and how to move forwards? Now he goes on to say, obviously, I'm not suggesting that they should be replaced, but I feel that there generally could be a better flow of ideas and communication between the masters and the students. Wow. Okay, where do you start on that one? Now, what I will say is, I run my school now. Obviously, we've had Mr. John McNally on before from the ITC, the International Taekwondo Council, and I do work with them with regards to my Taekwondo-based sections of my school, but we sort of work on a very sort of hands-off way. They let me get on with what I get on with, and I go back to sort of use them as a knowledge pool. Obviously I've worked with a lot of Taekwondo-based groups over the many decades I've been involved with the arts, and I think it ultimately depends on which group you're working with. I can see how it could happen, as is with the case of the BKCO I mentioned earlier on. David Jenkins, he's the manager there, and he does an absolutely fantastic group with their social media elements. Very, very good at communication. So, I don't know. Could they be missing out? I would say yes, they could. I know you've sent me that email through, putting it to me, and you mentioned in it not to mention your name because of the political elements of Taekwondo, but I think really, if I'm honest, and I'm not suggesting that this necessarily needs to be you, but as a whole, in general, if people aren't going to take these comments to these grandmasters and to these heads of these associations, then they're always going to be a problem, aren't they, really? I mean, I don't think it would be deemed to be rude or impolite to say, have you considered this, or this? I suppose it's all in how you word it. If you just say to them, your communication is crap, and our association is suffering, then yeah, they're not going to be best pleased. But maybe if you were to put forward some suggestions, maybe if you were to maybe suggest that they formed maybe a sort of a panel or a group of experts within that area, because within the associations, there's going to be people who are sort of PR specialists or social media experts. See if they would be interested in getting involved in it, maybe initially on a voluntary basis, just to give some advice, and sort of positively approach these people with and don't even raise them as concerns, just more as sort of interested suggestions, and come at it from a positive point of view. And the more people that do that, then the better these situations are going to be, I would think, anyway. But as I say, I like to take quite a hands-off approach to this. I don't like getting involved in martial arts sort of association politics because it's a ball ache. It's sort of, I just can't be doing with it. I just like training and teaching and getting on with stuff. But anyway, that's just me. Now, the next question that came in again was a listener question. Forgive me, I've not actually written your name down, which is a bit rude. Actually, I might have done. I've got that many bits of paper in here, but you'll know who you are anyway. This person actually asks, or he mentioned that, how do I deal with the difference between the different types of kicking, the dynamics of kicking when teaching workshops to people of multiple disciplines? Now, I've been there plenty of times. People come along and they're joining with my workshop because it's advertised as a kicking workshop. And, I've been on one very recently where we had people from Taekwondo, from WTF, or WT as it's known now, ITF, we had people from karate, from kickboxing, and all these different arts that all have different approaches to kicking. And, some people, like I've taught on some workshops where they just don't work lead leg turning and round kicks in their art, or hook kicks. They just don't do it, or they don't do spin kicks. And I've never really found it to be a problem as such. Sometimes you get pushback from people that I did actually have it recently where a chap was given a bit of a head shake and a tut at me when we were doing lead leg round kicks, or lead leg turning kicks, some people call them. But the way I came at it to him from was, well, look, you don't ever have to use this kick ever. But just for today, for the next 20 minutes, we're going to be working on this. Look at it as an exercise. It's a drill. Because there'll be elements of this technique that you can take away and you can implement in a kicking technique that you do in your style. Because, our legs only work a certain amount of ways. At the end of, I don't want to say end of the day then, I hate that phrase. But no, your legs only work a certain amount of ways. So there's only a certain amount of variation that we can put into kicking. And, yes, you can say, you can tweak your hip, lift your knee this way or lift it that way, and it makes a difference. And it does, absolutely. But the anatomical design and layout of your leg is such that it works in a certain way. So an exercise that you could do to improve one kick will work to help improve another kick. So the way I tend to come at it a lot of times at these workshops is not to say, okay, we're practicing a kick as such, more we're practicing a drill or an exercise to help with a variety of techniques, so that the people that are really style focused don't get confused and strung up and hung up on the technique element. Because I like to work, without going on, I could do a whole podcast on this, because I'm a bit weird like that. But I don't like to focus so much on flexibility as much as flexibility within the kicking range. So we're sort of talking midsection. If we're talking sport-based, midsection to head height, I like to work flexibility within the techniques themselves rather than overall flexibility. And so a lot of the drills that I work tend to focus on the kicking window, as I call it, or kicking range, and that can be transferred through pretty much all the different kicking techniques. So I suppose in answer to your question, that I don't really get over the differences, more as I just come at it from we're not working on application of techniques so much as we're working on drills to help improve your kicks, if that makes sense. Sometimes I'll go to a workshop and we will work on specific kicks. Sometimes I will work them and I'll say, guys, this is just for fun. Take from it what you want. If nothing else, it's a workout. It's good fun. Sometimes that is the best approach with it. This next one, this is a really cool one. And one of our listeners, long-time listeners and supporters of the show, Daniel, was actually at the premiere for the new Scott Adkins film, Avengement. Now, some of you might have seen this post on Facebook, and he was wearing our podcast t-shirt to the film premiere, to Scott Adkins' film Avengement, to the film premiere. How cool is that? I was scrolling through Facebook, as you do, kind of in a semi-zombified state. You got your finger on your phone and you're just scrolling and scrolling and scrolling. And I scrolled past it and I'm like, hang on, was that my logo? So I went back, and there's Daniel stood with Scott Adkins on a VIP red carpet of Avengement in my podcast t-shirt. How cool is that? So, challenge, guys. Challenge. By the way, if you've not got a podcast t-shirt and you want one, if you head over to www.kickbackpodcast.com, there's a shop button and you can get one from there. You can pick from a variety of sizes and colours and all that jazz. And each payment goes towards supporting the ever-increasing show costs. Anyway, there's my little plug done. But if you're going to go to an event, see if you can top that. Who can top that? Daniel's worn the t-shirt to a red carpet event, a Scott Adkins movie. Can you beat that? Daniel, can you beat that? There's your challenge. Let's see what you can come up with. But no, Daniel was at the Southwest show and I signed a card for him and gave him some stickers and stuff, and just to say thanks, because that was such a cool gesture to do. Absolutely such a cool gesture to do. So moving on, we've got this little plug from a friend of the show with his own thing that he's got going on, Mr. Jamie Clubb, who was, I think it was episode 3 or 4, going back right to the start. He was actually on the show talking about what he gets up to with his training and his podcast. And he sent us a quick clip for something that he's got going off in his own podcast at the minute in his training. So let's have a quick listen.
Hello, this is Jamie Clubb from the Club Chimera Martial Arts Podcast. Honoured to be speaking again on Chris Jones's excellent Kickback podcast. It's great to see Kickback moving smoothly into its second year, where I look forward to listening to more entertaining martial material. I'm on here to quickly talk about my upcoming Vagabond Warriors martial arts cross-training workshops this summer. These 3-hour intensive training sessions will cover Club Chimera's approach to cross-training. Each workshop will focus on a certain martial art discipline or concept, and then we will train different ways to use it to add to, replace, complement or enhance techniques from other martial arts as they best suit you. We will be working primarily towards the incorporation of martial arts into self-defense or mixed martial arts, which allows quite a broad area to work. I'll be limiting the number of students so that we have a more focused approach on training specific areas. These workshops were originally designed for my private clients as a means for meeting up, training with one another and setting personal goals. But I've opened it up to anyone who would like to attend, allowing other martial artists who are interested in my work or live too far afield to join us. We'd be delighted to have you all involved. The venue is suitably quiet and secluded in the Cotswold countryside in Over Norton, Oxfordshire. The starting age for training is 15 years, but if we do have a strong interest for those under that age, I'll consider opening up a junior section. The first workshop will be on the 28th of July 2019 and the second one will be on the 25th of August 2019, so I'll need to hear from you soon to secure your place. Please contact me using the contact page on the website clubchimera.com. That is clubchimera.com. Thanks for listening. I hope to hear from you soon. In the meantime, keep up the superb work on the show, Chris.
Well, thank you very much, Jamie. It's good to hear that I'm getting something right. No, joking aside. Thanks for sending that clip in. Anybody else that's got anything going on? See, I'm a nice guy. I'll promote your stuff for you. I keep saying this all the time to people. Send me things, and I'll give you a shout out. But yeah, if you're interested in that, as Jamie says, go along to the website, have a look, check it out. Jamie does quality work, quality stuff. I've seen it firsthand. So if you're interested in getting involved, go check it out. Right, so what we're going to do now is we're going to get straight into our match chat with Matthew Chapman. This week we are going to be discussing, as I've already set up, we're going to be discussing all things summer camp. I talk about some of my experiences previously working for other people and myself and all this sort of stuff. So go check it out, have a good listen, go into it with an open mind. I would say that. There's some of you there, summer camps, don't do that. Even if you're sat there thinking, I'm not going to do a summer camp, you might come out at the end of this bit and you might think, I now have an even stronger reason to not do a summer camp, but at least you've listened and learned, haven't you? But no, joking aside, take it all in and I'll catch you on the other side.
Brought to you by www.mittmaster.com.
It's that time of the week. Got Mittmaster Matthew Chapman on the phone, ready to talk all things business. How are we doing today, sir?
I'm okay. The weather is atrocious.
I don't care.
What do you mean you don't care?
Oh, right, sorry. Well, it's doing the same here anyway.
You're British, so you do care.
Yeah, I know. It's tipping it down. No, I meant more from the point of view that, you were in the sunshine and...
Usually, yeah.
And, now it's raining on you, so
Oh, yeah, no, it's calmer in it.
Get wet and all that. But yeah, it's crap, isn't it? It's like I don't know, they failed to install the summer. They need to reboot the weather.
And actually that kind of leads nicely into our topic, doesn't it, really? Because I guess we're going to have a lot of outside playing.
Tenuous link, I like it. Yeah, so last week we were talking about holiday camps, obviously with the half term just been recently, and now everybody, the forward-thinking people are ready and prepping for the summer holidays that are going to be coming up really fast. It's the bit of the year that the parents, we all look forward to it so much.
Yes, not.
I'm bored. So now's the time, isn't it? Now's the time to be prepping and getting all the activities and promotion ready.
Yeah. Because it's not long, is it? How long until summer holidays start?
I should know, really, having two kids, but I haven't a clue. What is it? It's middle of June now, and it's end of July they break up. So,
yeah. So if you are thinking of getting a summer camp sorted in the holidays, you need to be advertising it, and you need to be pushing it now. Have you run summer camps yourself, Chris?
I have, yeah. I'll be honest, I do them as single day camps. I don't do them as proper full blown holiday camps.
Yeah.
Because in all honesty, they do my head in. But in the past, I have done them when I was employed by somebody else. We did them every day over the 6 weeks.
Every day?
Every day. And the guy made a fortune.
Of course.
Because
You off.
yeah,
You out.
what we actually ended up doing was we rotated. So if we taught, if we went in at 9 a.m. for the full day camp,
Yeah.
we then, say I did the camp, then I wouldn't teach in the evenings. If the other person went in and did the camp, then he wouldn't teach in the evening. So we sort of alternated between us. There was 3 or 4 staff members, so we sort of rotated.
Yeah.
This is back in the days where ratios were just not even a thing. So
one adult,
30 kids in the park, easy.
Yes.
I mean, they were good, and obviously they were financially amazing for the person in charge who didn't actually do any of them.
Yeah.
And they were brilliant for bringing in new students because the camps finished as the classes started. So
Right.
the kids would either see the classes and go, "Oh, I quite want to do that," or what this particular instructor did was he offered them for a reduced rate for the opportunity for them to stay on for the first beginner session at the end of the camp.
Ah,
So the
clever.
parents got an extra. So it was 9 till 5.
Yeah.
Well, most of them couldn't pick up at 5 because it was too. That's that's when I finish. So okay, well you could do 9 till 6.
But it's an extra.
It's an extra however much, and the kids get to do the first class. And then
Cool.
at the end of the holidays, they go, "Oh, here's your first belt."
So what do they?
Well, that was one of the things that they would do. They'd do a presentation of their white belt at the end.
Oh, gotcha, white belt. Yeah. Right.
And they go, "Oh,
Like, first belt. Yeah, no, that makes sense.
some schools do gradings in 6 weeks, dude." So, but that's a different topic for a different day.
Yeah, okay, fair enough. So what tips did you learn? Because I did summer camps for a while at my school. I didn't really enjoy them, so I stopped doing them,
So,
which is not the best idea because really you know they work and they can add a massive income stream to your school during the quietest part of the year, and like you say, get new customers in. So what I should have done is employed a younger group to do that.
yes.
But I didn't. What did you learn from your time in summer camp hell?
Summer camp hell. Forward planning is you need to plan it out.
Yeah,
You can't wing it from day to day. It's not.
Too much
I mean, in theory, you shouldn't really be winging teaching your classes. But I think, in all honesty, most of us of a certain level of experience, we tend to a little bit. Because we've got the experience. But with the summer camps, you just can't do that because you don't know if you're going to get 20 absolute little dreams or 20 absolute little pain in the arses, and you've got to have it prepped and planned and structured, and and so that they know as well. That I found that's a massive. I mean, I only do a single half. Well, we do like half day camps, and even those I plan those to the minute.
Yeah, and how do you deal with like kids getting tired, kids getting bored? Tell them
to shut up and get on with it. I'm joking. Well, what I do, joking aside, is when I'm with the ones that I do, I schedule it so that they have running around, high activity nunchucks. So they're doing like the foam cord nunchucks, the really safe ones. So then they're getting to stand still and wave their arms around a little bit. Yeah, and then run them around, kicking pads, and then we'll have sort of like 20 minutes Xbox time.
Right. Okay.
Run them around, and then we'll do. We'll get something for them to watch.
Right.
So like something on like YouTube or something, and they'll sit and have a snack and drink and whatever, and then run them around again. So they have like high energy, bit of downtime.
Right. So they don't burn out and they don't. Yeah, they get rest when they need.
Yeah, that works really well for us.
And a lot of schools do like day trips out to a cinema, or they go to a park and they do all that. But of course, with all of that, you'll need adequate insurance. You need risk assessments filled out. You'll need a sufficient number of DBS checked people with you. You can't just take 30 kids out by yourself. Well, you can do, but it's highly.
I mean, yeah, you can do, and I know some that just do it. They just take the chance, and so far they've been lucky and nothing's happened. But I just can't operate like that.
If something happens to one of the child in your care and you're the only person with 30 odd children and there's no systems or structures or adequate insurance, you can lose your business.
Yeah, absolutely. It's not worth it. Which is why I mean, the guidelines, from what I remember, for childcare with regards to kids in a sporting environment it's a little bit looser.
Right.
But even that said, I still only do half day camps to keep it under what is deemed to be childcare.
Okay. Right.
And because I then don't have to worry about doing a full day because it's just easier. And I've found that the parents value, say 9 till 12 or 1 till 5 or whatever. They value that just as much as a full day. They'll still pay 25, 30 quid for a half day.
Oh, absolutely. Because we're both parents. Let's be honest. It's hard having your kids in the house for 6 weeks. They're not like we were when we were kids, which was we got kicked out and we went out on our bikes.
Yeah.
We don't do that anymore.
No.
So it's like you've got to entertain them. And if you put them on the Xbox or the Switch for like 6 hours during the day, one, you feel really guilty as a parent. And, they're not getting any exercise, frazzling their brains. So it's not even an option.
Yeah.
So parents are desperate for this type of thing, which, is actually good physical activity and discipline and all the good stuff we do in martial arts. So I think you should charge appropriately for it. And it helps you out during those quiet bits during the summer when, your classes are dead in the evening because everyone's up.
Yeah. And I mean, the thing with it is as well is I when we trialed it, it was a Christmas, it was years ago. I can't remember why. There was something came up. I can't honestly remember what it was, but there was all of a sudden I think it was the way that their days worked out. It meant that their kids broke up from school and it was Christmas really quick.
Right.
So there was very little time, and I just thought I saw an opportunity and thought, well, the parents are going to be desperate to get rid of the kids for 4 hours to get the Christmas shopping done.
Yeah.
So I actually called it parents Christmas shopping something when I marketed it to the parents. I didn't put it on the poster in the gym, but when I emailed the parents, that's what I called it.
Yeah.
Get rid of your kids and go and do your shopping for 5 hours.
No, it's a great idea.
And we filled it 3 times. We only had one scheduled and it filled. So then I put another one on, it filled. So then I put another one and it filled. And we put 10 kids on each one. 15 kids on each one.
Yeah.
20 quid a head.
Yeah.
And boom, that was Christmas bonus.
So you're providing a service that's needed.
Yeah.
You don't want to you can't drag your kids around the shops. It's just too stressful for them and for you, isn't it? So I happily pay for my children to do all sorts of summer camps and other camps if they want to do it. So they get to spend time with other children, socializing. They get to have fun. They get to learn stuff. They come back all happy. I think it's an amazing service.
Yeah, and I mean, if you look at it, and I get it, and I'm looking at this now, thinking I need to not be negative about it, because if I put 10 kids on at 20 quid a head, let's just say be conservative and say 10 kids, 20 quid, 6 weeks, that's 1,200 quid.
Yeah.
For an afternoon once a week.
Yeah.
It's just a no-brainer.
It is. And if you have help, you have multiple instructors, you can fit in more kids, and it's a very sensible business decision. So like I said, in my own business, if I didn't like anything, I just stopped doing it, which is just not the right thing to do.
I'm exactly the same.
What I should do is get someone else to do it.
Yes. Which is what I'm trying to do now, more of.
Yeah, but I'm also not particularly good at management and management, so
neither am I.
People and worry about them, doing everything they needed to do to keep the kids safe. So in the end, I just killed it. But I know lots of schools who just have an amazing summer camp programs and all sorts of amazing stuff. So if you're not doing it, I'd recommend, like you do, maybe start with a half day. You don't want to go straight in and do a whole 6-week summer camp if you've never done it before.
No, and it is trial and error. I found for us some of the most popular things for the kids is Nerf guns, and it is actually quite brilliant fun. One of the games that they like to play in my place is we get all the Wave Masters out.
Yes.
And I went online and bought a load of plastic safety goggles.
Yeah.
Stick them all. Stick the little plastic. No, that's no, not goggles. They're more like actual glasses. The ones I mean, the plastic ones. And they line up at one end of the gym, and they go one at a time. And we line up all the way. Put the wave masters up at like random spots, and they have to get from one end of the gym to the other as fast as possible. And they've only got the wave masters to hide behind.
Right.
And me and another instructor stand at the other end with machine gun Nerf guns and shoot them.
So that's great fun for you.
It's great fun for us. They absolutely love it. And then, so we go through all the kids, which in itself takes quite a while, but they're all hyper and they're loving it. And they're accidentally getting shot while they're not playing the game anyway. So they're loving it. Yeah. They're loving it. And we do that. And then we rotate. So the instructors take it in turns at going, and the kids take it in turns at shooting us.
Yeah, great.
That's an hour.
Yes.
And it's so easy. And then we play a game at the end.
Through martial arts, can you? Because it's just too much.
No, and then we play a game at the end of the Nerf. And I did this accidentally one year. I said, right, Mr. Reed, who was the guy who was helping me out, get a stopwatch. Let's see which team can collect every single Nerf gun pellet in the fastest time. Ready, steady, go. And there was hundreds of them everywhere.
Yeah.
And we had a timed race to see who could collect the most in and put them in the buckets and which team got the most. And then we counted them out. And then the winning team got to choose the next game and all. Yeah.
Perfect. It does sound quite good, actually. Maybe I should do a few kids' camps.
Just be careful, anyone out there. Just be careful calling it a Nerf activity party, because the company will just screw you instantly if they catch you. I straight away, I know several people who've had it happen to them. So don't mention Nerf guns on your posters.
Which is a bit ridiculous, isn't it? Isn't it good marketing for them to have?
You would think so, but they actually have a proper licensed package where you can buy into it, or they actually have Nerf activity places where you pay to go and do it. Yeah. So just be creative with it.
Yeah. Very cool, though.
Huh? Yeah. So I'm having my ideas now. I'm going to go and get my summer camp prepped.
And do you just do that once a week, or is it like half a day every week? For 6
Yeah. Usually, and that for us, it's a nice little bit of extra money through the books each month. At the end of the holidays, but I mean, we could really do a lot more. We could do one a day if we wanted.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
Just and then there's a lot of I've noticed a lot of dance centres do it as well, and they'll have
football and rugby and tennis.
They theme every day, and they bring somebody different in, because there's so many people out there that you can actually tap into if you look at it. Like you can bring a policeman in to talk about this, that, or the other, or you can bring a fireman in to talk about. So you can actually bring other people in from the community completely for free or for a donation.
Yeah.
And cover part of your session for you.
Yes.
Like there's a guy in our town who's got like an exotic animals place.
Yeah. So he brings
pay them, and he brings the tarantulas and the scorpions and everything in. But they love it. The kids love it, and people that paint pots and things like that. You can plan these all in advance, and it takes the stress off you. I had one of our most popular ones we had one year. We actually had a circus performer come in.
Oh,
and
cool.
they bought, like easy things like spinning plates, plastic plates, but then they bought juggling hoops, and they bought one of those gigantic balls that they balance on.
Oh, yeah.
And then a hoop that went round it so the kids could balance and it didn't topple over and stuff.
Oh.
And they did circus skills and they loved it.
Yeah, that's a really good idea, isn't it?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. It's that easy. You get 15 kids in, 20 quid a head. You approach them and say, how much would it be for an hour? Okay, great. You work it in, and
and you just budget it up and just work out whether it's possible and how it's going to work.
Yeah, totally.
Love it.
Yeah, and then so you don't have to then worry about having to cover every element of it yourself. There's.
No, I guess that's the danger, especially if you're like a solo instructor. You think, right, yeah, this is a really good idea. I'll do 5 hours a day, 5 days a week for 6 weeks, and by the end of the first week, you are dead.
Well, and the thing is,
weeks to go.
Yeah, it can have a knock-on effect because you get so. I've done it. You get so excited about the idea. Oh, I've got summer camp, and we're going to do all these awesome things. And then by the end of the first day, you're like, "Shit, this is horrible." And then the kids go out the door, and then your regular classes start.
Yeah, and then you're exhausted, right? So you teach really bad classes, which affects your true business.
That's it, exactly. So, I found, don't worry about having activities that don't involve you doing as much as you would think would be needed.
Yeah.
Don't worry about let them have a little bit of Xbox time.
Yes.
As long as you don't sit them down for half of the session.
No.
Because I went
4 hours on Xbox.
Yeah, I just kept an eye out on Facebook Market and bought a couple of old Xbox 360s. And the funniest thing was, and this is the greatest thing about it, they had more fun on the old Wii, the original one. Some of them had never even seen one before.
Yeah.
And I had a PS1 and a Mega Drive.
Oh wow!
And they were just like, "Wow, this is brilliant! What's this thing you put in?" And then they were playing Sonic on an old TV, and they were just mesmerized by it. So you don't have to spend a fortune on equipment and stuff either. So
no, or they can just bring their own Switches each, right?
Yeah, and then another one we did is I know going off topic a bit, but one of the things that we planned in, because you can look at what's popular at the time. And the time we had, Pokemon was like a massive thing. So they all brought their trading cards in, and they play. I don't understand it. I don't get it at all. But they did like Pokemon battles and traded cards and all that sort of stuff, and all sat and spoke in Pokemon code for hours on end.
Yeah,
well,
and
that was massive.
And I would advise anyone who's going to do this type of summer camp is to film as much of it as you can, because you can use promos. Get testimonials from the kids, get testimonials from the parents, and if you can, try and pre-sell the next year's summer camp.
Yeah.
So if you could do a special deal at the end of the summer camp to say, look, parents, this is so popular, it's going to sell out again next year. If you want to get the kids on it now, do them a deal and get them on it early so that you've already got 10, 20, 30 kids already booked in for next year.
Yeah. But we've had Ninja Turtles summer camp, Karate Kid summer camp. Themed, whatever at the time was the in thing.
Yeah.
Kung Fu Panda summer camp. Just be careful that you're not, your internal advertising is one thing, but just, don't get a giant banner printed up and stuck outside your gym. I've seen it in the past. I've worked at schools in the past where they've used stuff without permission, and then they've had a phone call from somebody going, "You shouldn't be doing that. Stop doing it or you're in trouble." So
you stopped doing it.
Yeah, well, it was thankfully I was working for them, so it didn't really bother me.
Yeah, but in those cases, you made a mistake. You stop doing it. You apologise, and you don't do it again.
Oh, I'm very sorry. I didn't realise. I had absolutely no idea that I was profiting from. Yeah, but no, just be sensible. I mean, internally, if you're doing a Ninja Turtles summer camp.
Yeah,
it's all right. It's not going to be the end. As long as you don't go nuts with it. We've never had a problem with it. Not that we've ever done it.
Backtrack.
But yeah, you just look at whatever. I mean, Fortnite's massive at the minute now, isn't it? I mean, I'm sure that there's some way of. I don't understand it, but I'm sure there's probably some way. Even if it was a Fortnite tournament.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
It's
good. It's just limited by your creativity, right? And if you just, I think, if you just go on Google summer camp activity ideas, you'll get thousands.
Ninja Warrior, that's another popular one as well.
Ah, right. So you create an assault course, yeah?
Yeah, Ninja Warrior, and then you do timer kids.
You knock them into a pool of muddy water, yeah?
yeah, something like that, yeah. But yeah, you just set a timer and they all go one at a time and they all cheer and you get Facebook Live going and it's great.
Yes, very good. Love it.
So, yeah, cool. So what are you up to then? Anything exciting happening?
We've got a couple of expos going on, haven't we?
Have we?
Snuck up. Yeah, we've got the Sacrifice Martial Arts show that we're both going to.
Yeah.
Teaching a few seminars, workshops down there. Be nice to see everyone, chat, chill out. So that's down in Bristol, and then obviously we got Kaizen up in Nottingham the weekend afterwards, which we're also both going to. So I'll see you.
Our wives love us, don't they?
They must do.
They must do.
So that's kind of exciting.
It is. It's cool. We've talked about this before. It's a really positive time for the industry. So much, so many expos and so many positive things going off that it's great.
Yeah, it seems like people are starting to come back to that meet and greet, go out and spend the day, hanging out with martial arts instructors, doing a workshop, buying some equipment you never use, and then going home.
As long as they keep up with the online stuff as well, I'm happy for that.
Yeah, true. Yeah, they will do. Don't worry.
Very cool. All right. Well, thank you for your time. I'll let you get back to going out in the rain, and I'll see you in a short while. The Southwest show. Cool. And anybody else that's there, if you see us, come and say hello.
Yeah.
Get a cheesy picture, and we can actually get proper photos with people now. How cool is that? Together in the same place.
It would be useful, wouldn't it?
We'll have to look at it. Oh, that's what you look like.
Oh, right. No, I'm looking forward to it. It'll be fun. I'll see you there.
Definitely. Cool. All right. Catch you later, sir.
Cheers, mate. Bye.
Brought to you by www.mittmaster.com. So thank you to Matt, as always, for his time on that one. I actually caught up briefly with Matt at the Southwest show. He was there teaching some of his Mittmaster content, as always. Got a nice cheesy smiley picture with him as well. I hope to be catching up with him again very, very soon. So to finish it up, the final thing that we have going on is the Kaizen show. It's coming up very, very soon, in a couple of weeks, in fact. The details are starting to filter out now for the show with a massive lineup, excellent lineup of instructors as well. I'm actually going to be teaching on the Nest Management Zone 1 at 1:30 for an hour. I know originally there was some talk about doing a slightly longer workshop, doing things different, but as always is the case with these events, it's some continuous sort of ongoing process of refinement and changing ideas. So if you have a ticket to Kaizen already, or indeed are thinking about going to Kaizen and haven't got a ticket yet, I would get one soon if I were you, though, because I know they are running very low. Then you can come join in my workshop. It's not a separate thing. You can just come along and join in 1:30. Excuse me. As is always the case, lots of kicking stuff. It's my favourite thing. Kicking pads, sometimes people as well. Depends who turns up. But no, joking aside, it's open to all, as long as you have a ticket, obviously. And we're going to have a really good time, as we usually always do. Last year's workshop with about 50, 60 people on it. It was a really good turnout. And I'm hoping for more of the same this year. So if you're interested, get along to the Kaizen martial arts Facebook group, and all the information on how to get tickets is there. A really nice thing that I saw actually from the show this week as well was that they were supporting the Southwest show, which is really, really cool to see, because none of these events are really in competition. They're all at different times of the year, different areas, attracting different people, or even if it is some of the same people, there's plenty of gap between them all. I saw some of the people at the Southwest show that I saw last year at Kaizen, and indeed earlier in the year at the UK Martial Arts Show. So it's good to see these events supporting each other and helping to push the industry forward and continue to help it to grow. I'm just trying to think, when's it? July the 7th for Kaizen, July the 7th. So I hope to see some of you there. And if you've got your t-shirt, remember, get that t-shirt on so I can spot you from the crowd. I'm going to be there supporting the podcast as well. So if you're there and you're come and say hi, I'm going to have freebies. So if you like freebies, I've got loads of stickers and things. So if you want a free sticker, come and see me and you can have a sticker. We had a little bit of fun, actually, at the Southwest show with one of my podcast stickers. It circulated around the crowd a few hundred times. It ended up on the backs of people's trousers, hats, shirts. In fact, Grayson, who was one of the guests at the Southwest show, one of the actors in Tribal, one of my cast members, he ended up going home and actually out afterwards into his local town with one of my podcast stickers still stuck to his back. Poor guy. So it was a little bit of fun. Maybe we could keep that going at the Kaizen show as well. So yeah, do come and see me if you're there. So yeah, that brings us to the end of another episode. Thank you all, as always, for your continued support. Please do continue to like and share and review and all that good stuff, because it really, really, really helps. If nothing else, it makes me smile. So please do continue to like, share, and all that sort of thing. Just help spread the word. Thank you, guys, and I will catch up with you all very soon. Brought to you by www.mittmaster.com.